Hi, it's JJ, and I'm spending the next month traveling the incredible country of Cambodia. So far, I've visited the big, bustling cities of Battambang and Siem Reap, but it's time to leave all that behind and head out into the depths of the Cambodian jungles. I'm on my way to the wildlife release station to meet some of Cambodia's most endangered wildlife and also spend some time with the individuals doing all they can to save them.
I have just arrived at the wildlife release station here in a very remote part of Cambodia. This is a project run by the Wildlife Alliance that are doing some fantastic work all around the country when it comes to wildlife conservation. But this spot here specifically works with a handful of Cambodian species that they are working to rehabilitate and release back into the wild, into the jungle surrounding this place, but also into other parts of Cambodia as well. I'm here for a couple of days, and as far as I know, I'm actually the only person out here with the staff that work around the center. And in a couple of hours, once it's a little bit cooler, because it is excruciatingly hot at the moment, we're actually going to head out and see some of the animals, do their afternoon feeding, and I'm really keen to kind of get the story of the species here and the species they're working with, what they're doing with them here in Cambodia, but also hear some of the individual rescue stories, release stories, and see what it means to the staff working here. A lot of the people that work in this area actually used to be poachers and have actually transferred over to wildlife conservation. Why is it so important for them to be involved in this project? Mate, I tell you what, this place is going to be full of surprises and probably a good reminder not to leave my door open. Check this out.
What are you doing near my room? Hello? I'm gonna have to find out what your story is. What are you doing? Nice to meet you.
This is absolutely crazy. It's following me around like a bad smell. I think they said actually when I came in, this one was hand raised from a little baby. So still, he's quite humanized. Don't headbutt me.
You're gorgeous.
One thing I will say is getting here is an absolute mission. I'm going to throw back to JJ of a few hours ago to recap the journey of getting to the wildlife release station from Kampot, which is only a couple of hours away, to finally arriving here. Getting to this wildlife release station has been an adventure in itself. 4-hour bus ride on incredibly slow, dusty, bumpy roads, really slow trip coming out. Sometimes the dust was so thick you literally couldn't see like a couple of meters in front of you. It was absolutely wild. Crossed the bridge, met my guide, absolute legend of a bloke, came out on bike for about 20 minutes, got to the river, hopped on a barge to get over the river, back on the bike, and we're only about 5 minutes away now, and then he's had a flat tire, so he's gone back into town to try and sort that out. So close, but it has been a lot of fun getting here. I'm excited to finally have my feet on the ground and see what this place is all about. And now I'm just here waiting on the side of the red dusty road, hoping he'll come back. So getting out here and even staying here isn't really for the faint-hearted. I would recommend it for someone that really likes that adventure style of travel, because it was hard work. And even here at the moment, all the amenities are really basic. It's run off solar power for a few lights and things like that. It's a nice basic wooden building. This is actually my room right next to me here. I'll show you that shortly. It's simple, it's basic. It's all I'm really gonna need for a couple of days, because the main goal is to get out there and see some of these amazing animals and what the guys are doing with them here. Now out here in this main cleared area is where a lot of the animals when they're first released hang out, I guess because they understand that it is a nice safe haven. And in front of me here there is a beautiful green peafowl. Now everybody knows peacocks, they're absolutely gorgeous birds, that big beautiful tail, but I've never seen a green peafowl before. I think the other ones are called Indian peafowl or blue peafowl. This is a stunning bird. And apparently there's one around here that's got a couple of chicks as well. Okay, so things have cooled off beautifully. There's even a bit of dark cloud cover over, which is absolutely amazing because it has been so dang hot. And now we're actually going to head out and meet some of the amazing animals at the WRS, the Wildlife Release Station, and give them a bit of dinner. So the cheeky fella that was hanging around my room, his name is Mod, and he is a sambar deer, a rescued one that was found near a banana plantation when basically it was a couple of days old. Mum was nowhere to be found, whether she had been predated on or what happened, they're not 100% sure. The guy who found this little deer, his name was Mod. So he's come in and he's grown up, which is why he's kind of somewhat habituated to people. And here we also have another sambar deer who's just about to get some milk. So now we're just heading over to see some rescued sun bears, which are one of my favorite bears, the smallest bear in the entire world. Kind of more the size of a big dog than a bear. And these guys are about to get their food. These guys were both orphaned after their mothers were killed and became part of the illegal pet trade. So these guys have released a majority of the species they work with here back out into the jungles surrounding the center, which is the ultimate aim and the ultimate goal. Some of them, they go out, they don't look back, they never come back. Some of them, it's more of a soft release where they will assist feed them as necessary as they come back, and hopefully eventually, they'll find some more of their own species, or they'll just get accustomed to being out in the jungle and spend less and less time around the center. It can be a little bit of a mixed bag. They've given the animals a second chance, but it's not necessarily the case that they are truly wild in the sense, especially when they've been hand-raised from such a young age. That can be just such a difficult thing to do, to truly release an animal and retain its wild instincts, which commonly happens, unfortunately, for animals like the beautiful sun bear behind me here. For some of these guys, it's a real question. Do they have those skills that are necessary to survive out there, in the wild after being in human care for so long? Being able to find the right types of food, just having those natural skills to avoid predators, make a nest, find shelter, all those sorts of things. It's really, really hard to know when you release them, but it seems like they've got some pretty cool stories of animals that they've sent out there and eventually have just taken back off. Hopefully they're thriving out there. It's what it's all about at the end of the day, is rehab and release. That's the ultimate goal, with hopefully those animals doing really, really well. Even with this beautiful sun bear here, the male, he's hanging around, he's, doing a bit of begging behavior, he's kind of keen for some more food. He's not fussed with me standing right here near his enclosure. The female, she's gone back out, minding her own business, doing her own thing. They have a pretty big enclosure, natural enclosure, about 1 hectare, so they can get out there and, utilize all those natural skills necessary. But the fella here, he's kind of just hanging out. So just gone and done the rounds for the afternoon feed. Now it's just a bit of downtime before we go out and meet some of the nocturnal animals, including a particular animal I am super, super excited to see. See you again when it gets dark. So we have just come to see two of the most amazing animals that you will find anywhere in Cambodia. They're one of my absolute favorites. Two pangolins, actually a mum and a baby, a pretty big baby. It's about a year old. And the wildlife release station actually has a number of pangolins here that they're working to release. And the mother here, one of her feet has actually been amputated. So they've determined that she isn't going to be a suitable candidate for release, but her baby is very, very close to that point where it can go back out into the jungle. So these two here just had a big feed of red ants. They slurped them up with that amazing tongue. That tongue is absolutely insane. And I think one of my favorite things about these guys is they're exploring around. They'll kind of stand up on their back 2 legs and prop themselves up on their tail. But that's one of many things that are amazing about these animals. They're also known as scaly anteaters, and they're just the most incredible, incredible little creatures. Unfortunately, they are highly endangered, all pangolin species throughout their range, throughout Asia and through Africa as well. And unfortunately, that's because of illegal poaching and hunting. And it has really put all of these guys on the endangered species list. A lot of the time it is said that these are the most trafficked animal in the world. It's really been bad news for pangolins. So to see these guys here at the wildlife release station and knowing that they're actually releasing them out into the wild, they put little trackers on them so they know exactly how they're going. It's just amazing, absolutely amazing. It's about 9:30 at night now, so pretty late. These guys are nocturnal, only coming out at night, so that's why we're here. And mate, That is just one of the most amazing things you could ever see. Good morning, team. How amazing is this morning? There is nothing better than waking up in the jungle. Just the sounds are just insane. I've heard hornbills flapping over, the bird life starting to wake up. I've heard our sandbar deer friend crashing through the bush already. Mate, it is just the most magical place to wake up this early. The sun's just coming up over the trees now. And I've got a feeling today's going to be a really good day. I do think it's going to be pretty similar to what was done yesterday. We're going to go around a few rounds feeding the animals. I'll learn a little bit more about them. The guys that are working with the animals, they're pretty shy. I'm going to try and get some stories out of them, but if they don't want to be in front of the camera, that's absolutely fine. I'll paraphrase and tell the stories. The pangolins last night, mate. Oh my gosh, they are one of my favorite animals. And to see those guys up close, all their little features from their tiny little eyes, their flicking tongue, the scales, little hairs coming between the scales, just absolutely incredible little animals, and hopefully go see them again tonight. But it's just the most beautiful place, man. Out in the jungle here in Cambodia, absolutely loving it. And I'm falling more and more in love with these peafowl. They're just the most stunning birds, especially in this morning light. They just look so beautiful. How can Mother Nature be so beautiful and create something like that? Absolutely amazing. So we're back down with the sun bears again, and they're just ripping into these coconuts. And as we were watching that, this beautiful oriental hornbill has just come down. What a prehistoric looking bird. Like, there's nothing quite like it. These guys have just got the wildest feathers, wildest facial features, beautiful color in the face, and they're also so big. And you often hear them before you see them, because when they're flapping, because they're such big birds, you just and they land up in a tree near you, but this guy just landed up on the fence. Another animal that was hand raised here at the WRS and released back out, and kind of goes out into the jungle and comes back periodically. So a really incredible bird. There are a few different species that you can find throughout Cambodia, including the biggest, the great hornbill, some smaller little pied hornbills, but this guy here's got to be one of the most stunning looking birds. The wildest looking head. Now, as my short visit here at the Wildlife Release Station is coming to an end, I want to touch on why these sorts of places are so important, not just here in Cambodia, but in countries all around the world. The biggest threats to biodiversity and wildlife here in Cambodia are deforestation and logging, and also poaching and hunting. And unfortunately, there aren't many wildlife species that aren't susceptible to being poached. So having this space here, which is a protected space that the Wildlife Alliance is working with the community to protect the jungle surrounding this area, you know, a very large space, that's kind of step one. That's really important in protecting the habitat for these animals to be released back into. And the second one, of course, is being able to rescue and rehabilitate these species, rear them if they're young, and get them back out there into the jungle. The team was telling me there was a period of time where the jungles surrounding this area were basically devoid of life, and in the last few years, as these guys have been working to get animals back out there, they've seen an increase in biodiversity, which is just fantastic. It is a very small team here at this station in particular. They're very committed, they do good work, and they do the best they can with the resources they've got. And something that I think is really interesting and really inspiring is a majority of the staff here are actually ex-poachers. Some of them have been more willing to talk to me about that than others. Some are very open about it, but basically these guys know these jungles incredibly well, and it's definitely had a benefit of having them here, looking after these animals. But when it comes to releasing them, they can track how the animals are going, and it's just been a complete 180 in what they once did to make ends meet and make a bit of money. But now the Wildlife Alliance is paying these guys, supporting them and their families to protect the very animals that they used to hunt. So all in all, this is a pretty amazing project. They're doing really great work, which is helping the animals and the wildlife here in Cambodia, but also the community and people too. And that's an absolute win. Last peaceful morning out here at the release station. No noise pollution, just the jungle, baby. So good. We're heading over now to have a look at the SIM cards that have been in some of the camera traps around the jungle to see any of the animals that have actually been released and how they're going out there, but also just see what wild animals are around the area in the jungles surrounding the release station. So let's check them out.
Thank you. Perfect way to start the morning in the jungle. You have a good sleep?
Yeah, very good.
Very good, excellent.
Oh, it's a few.
First up, we have the peahen and her little chicks, the deer, sambar deer.
So a lot of the sambar deer around here are individuals that have previously been rehabilitated and have, been released back out into the jungle, and they will kind of stay often in the peripheries of the jungle, often coming out at night and being a bit more active at night to come and feed, and then resting more during the heat of the day, which I can honestly relate to that with how hot it's been. But it's really cool to see individuals that they've released often coming back and feeding on the grass and stuff around the main center here. So that's pretty cool to see these guys on the camera.
Oh, and there's another sambar deer at the back there. Oh, she is such a poser. And underneath her there is a civet.
Civet cat.
Yeah, civet.
Civet cat.
That's really cool. Civet and the sambar deer. So this is the night before last night, and there's a porcupine on there. How cool is that? And there is Mod making his appearance.
We didn't actually see Mod around the main center last night and gone walkabout, which I guess is a good thing because he's spending more time in the forest. Apparently the guys have seen him around here this morning, but there's hopes that he'll keep getting bigger, he'll grow big long antlers, and he'll be the leader of the herd before we know it. So that'd be really cool to see.
How does it make you feel to see these animals that have been rescued and released, and then seeing them doing really well out in the jungle on the camera traps?
So we are very happy because long time ago, it's too much hunting the animal and the forest as well. We started this project and release animal, so they are safe. No more trap, no more everything, because we have a ranger around here to make sure animal or the forest no cutting down and no more trap. We are very happy because animal come back more and more now.
Mate, what a wild couple of days. It's been so cool hanging out here with the team, getting to know them, what makes them tick, just the fact that these guys were out harming the forest, harming the wildlife, and they've made this complete switch over to protecting the animals here, releasing them, monitoring them, rehabilitating them. It's just really, really cool to see. And it's been amazing being the only traveler here, spending time with these guys. It's just been me and them, and I've learned a lot. They're really, really passionate about what they do, which really goes a long way when you're working with animals. It's been awesome. Head back to Phnom Penh though, into the capital in a couple of hours time. That big dusty road back out of the jungle, and then onwards to some adventures on the other side of Cambodia. I'm going to be pursuing some large grey animals. I'll leave it at that. You can use your imagination, figure out what they're going to be. It's been fun. See you on the other side of Cambodia.